Hello and welcome. This is Brandon Waddell, Charter Market Technician, and I'm going to take a look at the energy futures today. Start off with crude oil here, looking at the daily chart of crude oil. You can see that we've got really kind of a bearish momentum overall. Nothing really too strong, though. We pulled back off the lows. We do have an area of supply on the daily chart at 77.98, 79.23. Again, we're consolidating. You can almost draw a line right around this, containing all the price action. It's back and forth and back and forth. So we'll see if we're able to break out of that rut starting next week. But so far, it doesn't look like it. We've got no real clue as to which way momentum is going to take us. If we were to go out to the bigger picture and perhaps the weekly chart, just take a look and see if there's any kind of clue there. Not really. We didn't go below 40 on the pullback, so that suggests that this is just a retracement. But if it, let's see, goes any more, see how far we've retraced so far. Yeah, retrace 50% of the move altogether, so we could continue to pull back. Again, this looks kind of like a retracement of our previous impulse, and then this is now a retracement of that move down. But without us going below 40, it just looks like a retracement, not necessarily a reversal of the trend. So, we'll just have to kind of wait and see what actually happens on the daily time frame if we break out of this sideways motion that we've been in from about 70 to 73. So give it some time, be a little patient. Let's drop down to the 4 hour time frame, see if there's anything going on there. And it looks a little bit worse. Honestly, we're just kind of sideways motion altogether. I forgot to look. If we do break to the downside on the daily chart, do we have a demand zone below? And let's see if we got anything down here. It doesn't look like it. We could be free to move down for quite a while. This is already a tested zone. So if we're looking for anything kind of fresh, well, this doesn't really do it. It could push price all the way down to the 50s. There's really no strong demand zones on the daily chart, all the way down in the 50s range. So that's kind of foreboding. We take a look at that. Anyway, taking a look at the 4 hour chart again, where I was there. Sideways motion going on right now. We do have demand if we do try to move out of this range. It looks like we could get caught in another range very, very quickly. You see, we have drop, base, and rally right there. Drop, base, and there's the rally up. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to break down and go very far. And of course, if we do break to the upside, we still have that daily supply overhead. And actually on the 4 hour chart, you can also mark it as such. So not a whole lot going on there. We dropped down to the 60-minute time frame. And this is a bit more bearish because we are coming down towards the bottom of that overall range that we've been in for quite a while. And I'm not really seeing anything exciting here, to be honest with you. No real clean zones on either side. It means it might be something I want to stay away from until I see some clarity. We do have a good demand zone that's also right near that 4 hour demand zone that I marked off earlier. So I can fine tune this a little bit. We have drop, base, base, rally right there at 68.22, 67.34. So if we do try to break out of the range we've been in, watch for it to be a false break and we get a bounce at 68.22 to kind of trap those people that were shorting. What could happen then is if it does bounce off that demand, it could ricochet quickly back up to the top of the overall range. So that would be just kind of a false breakout and a return back to these highs. And your targets would most likely just be those supply zones right near the top of the range. So again, look for a possible breakdown of the sideways range we've been in here. Looking for it to catch at that demand zone, so you would buy. So don't jump in on the breakout. Wait for the demand zone to catch it and trade back up into the top of the range. So let's jump over to nat gas now and take a look, see what's going on over there. Again, I'll work on the bigger time frame, work my way down. Weekly chart, we have just been collapsing, and unfortunately for nat gas, it has gone into bearish territory. So there's no demand really. I guess there's a weak demand that we're coming into right now, but it doesn't look like it wants to hold because you can see we've got bearish momentum that's picking up. So our next level of demand would be this at about 3.337. So we'll see if we're going to be heading down to that area, but it doesn't look like anything's going to stop us. We'll go down to the daily time frame. And again, just seeing nothing but weakness right now in price. Don't have any great supply zones nearby. I think everything's pretty much been tested. That would be the freshest right there. Rally, base, base, drop. Here doesn't really qualify. This has already been tested. So nothing else right nearby is an opportunity, and we can watch to see That was the weekly demand. We even have it on the daily. Suppose you can say we've got drop, base, 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 rally. So it's really about the same right there as it was on the weekly for the daily demand. But instead of 3.337, it's 3.297. So just a little bit tighter, but not too much. So it looks as though we're just getting a little pause before we potentially continue to the downside here. Dropping into the 4 hour time frame, not a whole lot of change going on there. Not seeing any great entry points for supply or demand either. Yeah, it's just really nothing exciting going on here. The nearest supply zone, if we do tend to rally or try to rally up, looks like we got a little something right here. Good selling pressure coming out. And of course, the little stair steps above are probably even better. Right here and right here. That's actually better than this one. I'll leave it in. But overall, the problem is, in order for us to get there, let's see on the daily chart, we'd have to break this high, and that would actually snap the trend. So we wouldn't be in a downtrend per se if we went all the way up to those 4 hour supply zones. So the likelihood of that happening is very, very low. Or if it does, we might be looking at another trend shift when it happens, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Instead, I would look to see if any new supply zones get formed this week and just trade along those because, again, I don't really have anything here yet. We can drop down a 60-minute chart, and there we have something. So now we've got opportunity, perhaps. If we rally up on Sunday or Monday, we may run into this area of supply. We just check. 7. Okay, so we got 3713 to 3751 as an area of supply overhead. Now we could look to for possible selling opportunity if prices do end up breaking to the downside on that gas. Other than that, not really much going on there. I can even break this down to 15-minute, and on the 15, now we've got a little bit more for Sunday afternoon or Monday morning. You do have drop base drop area supply that's pretty close by. Another area pretty much right above it, kind of overlapping there as well. So I would say that's a pretty strong area that we could look to sell the 3590 and really just hold on until we reach that 3.3 area as a target. Taking a look at gasoline, going out to the weekly chart here again. And let's refresh this down. On the weekly chart, we had a major divergence. You can see prices rallied, but the momentum didn't, so we ended up dropping quite a bit. But we did not drop into bearish territory. We got a nice retracement right now. It looks about 50% or so, and we may be getting ready to kick off continued movement to the downside. So, we didn't have extremely bearish movement because we didn't go below 40 on the RSI, but we also couldn't get above 60 right now as we moved up. So this week we'll watch and see if we make a new low and lower high and lower low on the weekly candles. That'll definitely confirm the move down is continuing at this point. So we've got some possible targets as well. And I take this down to the daily chart. On the daily chart, there also happens to be an area of supply right here as well that we didn't quite test. We're currently rallied, we're basing, and we'll have to see if we're able to break either to the upside or downside. So we got more consolidation like we just saw on crude oil and even on nat gas a little bit. So as far as, let's see, daily, not really seeing much here. This is going to break to the upside. Yeah, it could be our first target on the breakout, and that could catch the traders on the wrong side trying to buy the breakout right into that area of supply that ends up slamming back the other direction. One of the things to watch for is as we come into that supply zone, is the RSI above 60? If the RSI is below 60, then the supply should hold no problem. We should push down. But if it's above 60, look out. The momentum is actually strong, and therefore supply is a lie. That's a little saying I have in case the RSI is above 60 as you come into it. So keep an eye out for that as prices break out. If they break to the downside, I would actually look for it to continue below these prior lows to the next Fibonacci extensions from the weekly chart. I'm going to take this down to the 4-hour time frame, and not really seeing a whole lot of action going on here as far as opportunity. Again, we just see the consolidation sideways. We do have a couple of new zones that are introduced here. A little rally-based rally right there. Or you could even say maybe drop-based rally. Include all of it if you wanted to. But either way, there's definitely a bit of demand that comes into play there. There also happens to be one a little bit higher right here. So if we try to break out of this range to the downside rather than to the upside, here's the range I'm talking about. we try to break to the downside, we're likely to get stuck right there and pushed right back up as a false breakout. So keep an eye out for that. It might be an opportunity. Basically, we call it a trap. It's a trap where you've got the sideways price action. We break out of that. Everybody's trying to catch the breakout and sell that breakout or buy the breakout. And unfortunately, prices for them run right into a zone and causes a big reversal, which stops them out and actually accelerates the move in the opposite direction. So if we do end up breaking below the 20622, look to buy the 20520 for a trap to send prices right back up to the 216 area. On the other side, if we break to the upside, I don't know if we got anything right away. No, it's still pretty much the same supply zone overhead at 22343. So just look for that. And I'm not sure it's going to do us any good to look at a smaller time frame, but I will. Yeah, there's really not much going on there. So we want to stay on the 4 hour. Just watch for the traps. Last but not least, I can look at heating oil. And similar picture. We've had the fallback and a little bit of a retracement. We might be getting the continuation of the bearish trend. There's no really strong demand zone until way down here at 1.6. So we'll see if that's going to happen or not. And dropping down to a daily time frame, we have overhead supply outside of this sideways basing that we are in right now. There's the supply zone. There we go. And I suppose you could call this maybe a little bit of demand. We have drop, base, 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 and rally right there. Not the best of opportunities, honestly. I would look for a stronger zone below. Fortunately, we're going to have to go to continuous contract to really get that. So I'm not going to bother at this point. But we are consolidating sideways once again. Got this congestion that's happening here. Now let's do it this way. Here we go. And we go down from the daily to the 4 hour chart and see if there's any traps that might be set here. And there actually are. Right here, you can see if we do try to break the lows, we're likely to run right in that demand and catch those people selling as prices turn right around and spring the trap on them. A similar possibility if we do break to the upside as well, we run in obviously to that daily supply too, but this is the one I'm looking at. We break down, we're likely to see that bounce and a snap back up. And if we bounce from the 211.49, could cause us to go right back to 226.38. So keep an eye out for that starting off at the beginning of the week. May not happen right away, but usually if you break out, you'll see a jump in volume as well and a pretty quick move to the downside there, right into that demand. So that's all I'm really seeing right here. If we drop it down to 60-minute, not really much change. Everything's pretty similar to what I saw in the 4 hours, so I think I'll just stick there. So hopefully you enjoyed the video and got some good information out of that. If you like it, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to me so you get notified when there's new videos dropping every week. Until next time, trade safe, trade well, and take care, everyone.